We are deep into, well, the first section of Principle 2 of Ninja Selling. That's what we're on today. This is the content we're going through right now. This room is always led by written content going forward. And more importantly, it's always led by you guys because this is your room. I'm just here to facilitate. So with that being said, I see some mics hot. You can always raise your hand. I want to hear what you guys are taking away from Principle 2, page 55, all the way through the Ford chapters, page 72. April, love that you are always fired up, ready to go. What do you got?
So I wanted to talk about the board questions, of course. And so I actually work a part-time job at a phone service provider place, and they always talk about asking good questions to be able to better serve the customer. And I always like knew that, but I had to keep looking back at like a huge list of questions and always try to remember them. So Forward is like a really great acronym to be able to just quickly remember all the pain points that I want to hit, all the pleasures that I'm trying to figure out. And it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, the fun part about this, there's so many trainings we've even had of these are the questions, and you're attempting to get them through all. When you have this dialogue, you can ultimately get in. If you are truly present and listening, you can actually
Yeah.
get in to the only questions you need to talk about. I see so many times in the recruiting space that folks just bloviate about all the great things of their company rather than finding the challenge someone has and then working on seeing if you have the actual solution to their challenge. And people aren't going to give you their challenge straight out of the gate. If you are at a first meeting and you go, okay, what's wrong in your life? They're not going to tell you. What's wrong with your house? Why are you moving? They're not going to tell you. They're going to give you pieces of the story. It's only after you've developed rapport and built a relationship that you can get to the true items that need to be solved and be able to step in that space and help them. So know that this isn't a quick hunt and close. You're building some relationship. Now, you can do that in one conversation. Just want you to know that. And yet you've got to sharpen the skills here. Rhonda, what do you got?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to work this thing
Boy,
on
what
my
she's
phone.
got is a fast mute button. That's what Rhonda has. All right, I got you. Carrie.
Um, I wasn't prepared either. I'm sorry. So, well, anyway, the four questions are helpful. Like um like just recently I had a meeting for new home buyers. And so it was the first time that I had to like sell myself in a really long time. And so I did ask those four questions and I did make a concerted effort to listen. And at a couple of different points, I could tell that when I was asking about them, that they were very they were like, oh, okay, she's paying attention to me. She's listening. I'm not always good at asking all the right questions. So this is really was really helpful for me.
And the key with this is just being present, listening to the words. So one of the words you brought up and one of the things you discussed right out of the gate is, I've got to be selling. So I want to make sure that we're leaning into not the traditional attitude of selling, pitching and pushing and resorting to tactics, that we are embracing the ninja definition of selling. Selling at its best is serving and solving, often solving a need or want a customer didn't even know they had. The customer comes first. The word sell comes from an old English word, salon, meaning to give. You guys are in a place of giving to folks. And that means you're not thinking about the commission check at the end. And if you just step into that, magic absolutely happens. Stephanie Hennings, you ready to speak up with a mic hot on this content? Nope, she went, I am not. Doug, the room is yours.
Okay. Want to build on what you just said. I love that selling is a matter of service to others. And at the beginning of this book, before the introduction, I think there was a credit given by a fellow named Bob Berg who wrote The Go-Giver. And in chapter 14, uh, uh, Larry returns the favor and references Bob Berg's book, The Go-Giver. And I really love the law of value that he lays out here. It says, one of these laws is, in his book, The Go-Giver, Bob Berg and John David Mann lay out 5 laws of success. One of these is the law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you receive in payment. And that's really the attitude. That's really the feeling. I think it's what was your experience that you had? Do you feel like you got what you paid for? And if you've gotten what you paid for, then you as a customer are going to come back again and again. And if you didn't get what you paid for, you will not darken the door of the whole establishment. So this is a great, great law of value.
Well, I want to up this, Doug, on your analysis to the renegade way, because we do not want you or we don't want any of your customers to ever feel like they got what they paid for. We want them to feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't pay enough.
Right.
That's
good.
the place
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
go, which means, and this is one of the things that chaps my heart. I can't tell you how many real estate agents I have heard say these words, these 4 words. That's not my job.
Be able to bring you back, I believe.
Talking about stuff that, they don't want to do, and they define it as that's not my job. Well, I'm here to challenge you that maybe, just maybe it is. I've got a great client out of San Francisco. He does a lot of out-of-country investors. He bought a limo. Who picks them up when they arrive at the airport? Who takes them to their hotel? Who meets them for property tours with that vehicle and with a driver? Is all of that, quote, beyond the traditional agent?
Way beyond.
And at the same time, his business is growing exponentially because they all start talking about all the extra things he did that a real estate agent doesn't do.
Right. Yeah.
So are you going to position yourself instead of, that's not my job, that's not in the budget, to always exceed expectations? And the math in here, by the way, is if you're getting a $20,000 commission check at the end of this journey, you'd better be providing $30,000 worth of value. That's the mindset I desire for you guys to have. Justin, brother, you ready to speak up? Your mic's hot.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, you come into this room, it's hot, but yeah, I'll
I just want to point that out, and I'll let you collect your thoughts, because all of you show up in this room hot every single day, and I love that. Now, what do you got, Justin?
So I really liked on the very last page of chapter 17, we're talking about the power of Ford. And as he closes this out, he realized that he had become caught up in a game of winning instead of concentrating on his future happiness with his son. He signed the contract in an instant. So they had a $300,000 home purchase, had a cracked heat exchanger, was going to cost $1,500 to fix. And everybody got caught up in being right or winning and ready to blow the thing up, I've got to get my way or whatever. So he was able to bring them around to remind me why it was that you wanted to buy this house in the first place. and then get him talking about playing catch with his dad in his backyard as a kid growing up, and his dream of playing catch in the backyard with his son. And what I took away from that, or noted in my book, was people tend to focus on competition instead of creation. And in the competition space, there's so many other agents. There's this, we all have the same MLS, and we may not use it exactly the same or whatever, but the houses that are for sale, the houses that are going to be listed for sale, those are the same houses. And there's a bunch of other agents. So back to like what you were saying, just like the limo guy, how can we create value that is different or a unique value that the other people aren't showing up with?
Yeah, and I love that term, unique value. He's probably the only one doing a limo in his market. What are you doing radically different that will attract your type of client? Because again, for him, it was out of country clients, limo, because they have this need to get from airport to hotel and around. You aren't to be all things to all people, which so many agents attempt to be. Pick your niche, pick your lane, and then how can you be unique in that space to serve them? Mr. Client.
So true. So you know what struck me? Ask yourself the question, what does value feel like to me? Think about that. So you say to yourself, what does value feel like to me? And then you put the term, what if? So I have a real estate agent. What if they did something like that? What if they knew my dog's name? Wow, wouldn't I feel special? What does special feel like to you? When you say that to yourself, when you make that process human, it's like a bomb goes off. Because now I'm going to say, well, what does that experience? What does that feel like to me? Man, I feel special. If a real estate agent picked me up in a limo, dude, he's saying that I am like 5-star red carpet treatment. He doesn't have to say a word. His actions say it all. So that's just my thing for this morning. What does that special feeling feel like to me? And then turn that around to someone else.
So I want to tie some pieces together for you on this, because in the Ford section, they talked about staying in flow. And flow being the number of conversations and contacts you're having, that you're consistently in front of them from service, not selling. You're building on knowledge, likability, and trust, where they know you, they like you, they trust you. So let's go back a couple of steps and tie some buttons together. By show of hands, how many of you love to receive? Like, it's a magical moment. Celeste, you're the queen of this, by the way, on the opposite side. It's a magical moment when you receive a handwritten card or note. How many think that changes your day? Raise your paws. And so if we go back in Ninja to the morning routine, the anchor of the morning routine was writing 2 personal notes every day. Taking the time, have the cards, write the 2 notes. I know right now it's like, gosh, awkward. I don't do this. How do I do this? Just write it all about them. So it's not, I like, I appreciate, it's all you show up this way. You're amazing. Make it all about them and just write them. Don't worry about figuring out address, etc., because that's an excuse for not doing it. And think about this with all the people in your database, how you could think of somebody, write that note, and get it out the door and every day make that part of your routine. Now you're hitting mindset, you're hitting flow, and you're building connection and affection in those clients all from that one activity. It always all ties together. Alicia, you're up.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You show up with a hot mic, I'm going to call on you. This is how we're going to train you guys to turn your mics off when you show up.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think I might be a little bit different than everyone and maybe just jaded because I don't really think of too much about getting a hand received note. However, since it seems to be like a really big thing for other people, I will start doing it. The one thing I am very concerned about is the fact that I have to put my return address. Okay. Otherwise they're not going to open it, right?
Okay. I hear you so far. I love the look on Dustin's face right now.
I just don't know about putting my return address. I do know that when go ahead.
Hold on, client. Let her finish.
No, you finish.
Keep going, Alicia.
I was just going to say that when I do open houses and stuff, I do like an invitation from the actual seller because they will open something from their seller, and that's handwritten. I do that, but I've never like written like handwritten notes to people. It's usually an email.
So here's my question for you, Alicia, and this is for all of you. In this moment, are you telling me why not, or are you telling me how to?
I'm telling you why not, but at the same time,
no, if you put a button there, okay, we talked about try yesterday. We're talking about but today, because but is the big stamp of everything I said before. It is bullshit.
Okay. I'm trying to, I want it to be okay in my mind. I want it to be okay in my brain.
So instead, I want you to figure out a how to always, and this is for all of you. That's why I'm using Alicia to have this conversation for everybody. One of my absolute mantras for all of you is stop telling me why not and start telling me how to. Because I will agree, the handwritten note should have a return address. I agree with you on that. And it sounds like your fear is you don't want to give your personal home address, right?
Correct.
So what other address could you use?
Oh, I don't know, maybe a model home.
How about your company?
Well, except that's like I'm with EXP, so would I use the one in Mobile? Like
whichever one is closest, use that. And that way, if they do reply in writing, it'll get to you. If you put down your office address instead, because you don't want to give your personal address, that's awesome. And again, as you're going, which one do I use, etc., you're hunting for the why not. Your subconscious, this is all of you, is trying to find the rabbit holes to go down, because by show of hands, other than Celeste, who has made a handwritten note or card since January 1? And I got like a couple. Okay. So I'm shocked by how many hands actually, which is great. For those that haven't, it's uncomfortable. So you're going, holy moly, what do I do? All right. So that's the challenge, Alicia. And any others on that mindset, call me. Oh, that was a fake hand that went up. So Miss Celeste, you're here. Talk to us, my dear.
Yes, I've been patiently waiting to talk because this is a topic I love. When I'm talking to my clients, whether they're buyers or sellers, I find that if you have a list of great questions that you can ask while you're in the meeting with them, you're giving them the opportunity to speak without you having to think about what to ask. And what happens is you actually listen instead of think about what the next question should be. And then the other thing that's very powerful is, remember, if you're talking to two people, there's typically one person that's going to be the speaker, but it does not mean that the other person doesn't have something to say. So when the first person is finished and you've really engaged that person's response, be sure to go back to the other person and ask that same question. They will feel heard.
Okay. Phenomenal. And that's what we want, is people to feel heard, correct? If your clients feel heard, they will like you more. They will trust you more. Susan McCarty, you're up, my dear.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have sent a few cards lately on Facebook. You look on Facebook, somebody that I had worked with was just diagnosed with leukemia. I sent her a card. One of my clients has been in the hospital. I sent him a card. I sent a sympathy card, but I also get on, I look to see on Facebook whose birthday it is, and I don't necessarily send a card to them, but I do a video and send it to them on Messenger, wishing them a happy birthday. And most of the time I get messages back like, oh, you made my day. It was such a surprise. So, I just want people to know I'm a realtor. And I have heard since I've been doing this, a lot of people, I might say something to someone like, oh, I'm a realtor now. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know. It's like, okay, good. Because I taught school for 30 some years. So, that they know me as a teacher, but now they're starting to know me as a realtor. So I think it helps.
Awesome. Absolutely does. And I love that you're personalizing them. It's not a blanket, same message to everybody automatically on DM or on a chat or on their post.
That's true.
Whatever. It's personal. Justin, you got your hand raised, brother. You have something to add on this?
Yeah, as I was listening to Alicia talk about, maybe being an outlier, not feeling impacted by getting a handwritten card, and this is a rhetorical question or statement. I mean, how many has she gotten, for one thing? And you don't need to answer that. I mean, it's just a question in my mind, and it did make me think. So I'm super grateful for you speaking that into the room, because it made me think about the cards or letters that I received and how it was that I valued them. And what I mean by that is this: I've gotten a number of them from my accountant or a store that I had an account at. So from people who sell stuff to me, I've gotten a number of them, and I appreciate them a little bit. And you feel like this is part of their job as the sales professional, and they're sending it to me. They probably sent it to the other people that they do business with. Like that makes a lot of sense. But I've also received some from people who purchased from me, and those are like incredibly impactful. That's like social media, pre-internet review. Somebody taking the time to write you a letter and tell you how much they appreciated your service. And if it helps you, Alicia, or anybody else on this call, I think that, just like for me, taking that away from that, who is it that I'm buying from, whatever that be, my car, leads, my, auto mechanic, whatever, that is doing a great job that I could thank and make their day and put me back in their mind as, somebody else that's doing business. So don't get caught up in this, writing a handwritten note as a one-way street, that this is only something that you would do for your clients.
That's perfect. Look at all directions. And client, you had something to add on this. And I have you muted, brother.
I was just really saying.
Carry it for a little bit. I'll be right back because I want to be able to answer someone else's question. So you're on, client.
Okay. So remember what Coach tells us so often, that we're always to look for opportunities for communication. As people in sales, Our database is our life. Just a quick story. I remember when I was young, my dad had this insurance agent, Mr. Goldberg, I think his name was. He wrote me a birthday card from the time that I was 5 till the time that I was 45 when he passed. That is what, 40 years of birthday cards. He had to start with getting my address, and it started with one envelope. As a matter of fact, I am actually started it now. And it actually is fun. It forces you to find out more about that individual, talk to them, because once you can follow up with that card, it gives us opportunities. That's all we want. We're spending millions of dollars as an industry trying to look for opportunities, and they're kind of here in our head. Let's use them.
So I'm going to give, because Diane asked about how to implement the system. So I'm going to give you guys some nuggets right now, and then something Carrie put in, I want to adjust. Okay. So the system, go buy a couple packs of cards. So I've got these. You have them out. When you think of somebody, especially in the morning, you're doing your journaling, you're doing your gratitudes. You're going to think of people. Write the note. Now, it's all about them, not about how they impacted you, because that's about you. You got to really work to make it all about them. Appreciation for them, joy for them, how they show up, what they do in the space and the world. Make it about them. Now, I'm going to give you the plus, because some of you are doing this, and Josh is implementing this at a high level. You invite people to this morning and you give them one of the books, maybe for the next one that's upcoming. Never give away a book without doing the same thing on the inside front cover. A personal note about them. So with all of that being said, Kimberly Sakamoto. Kimberly, bring us home. It's 11:29. What do you got?
I did birthday cards, Greek Easter, and Christmas cards for 7 years, and now I'm dual agency on a home because I believe in the written communication, the written cards, the quarterly follow-ups, and there is a knack to it, and there is something to it. I think it's probably one of the most powerful things is when you get a piece of mail and it's handwritten. It's one of the things that I've mentored about and spoken about to newer agents. Go to the dollar store and pick up some thank you cards or playing cards or birthday cards. Best $1 or $2 you'll ever spend in your life.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you know what else is a great place to spend money on to improve your life, to wrap up today, is a high quality microphone for your computer. There's some people in this room that I've talked about that for maybe the last 3 months or so, and they're on the radar and they know who they are and we love them. So I'm going to get on her to make sure she gets that. Celeste, I saw you grinning on that too, weren't you?